The year is 2006. Google had just bought YouTube, an event which would definitely end well. The Nintendo Wii released, and TF2 was still in development after 7 years. However, a trailer was released this year, properly showing off the game's art style, the 9 playable classes, and their iconic weapons. Heavy with his minigun, Soldier with his rocket launcher, and Scout with his nail gun. Yes, Scout was equipped with the weapon of Sigma males. Patrick Bateman.
You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death.
Billy Murphy.
Hi, how's it going?
And now Scout. Fast forward to next year, to 2007. TF2 releases and... What the fuck is this shit? Where's the nail gun? What am I supposed to do with a shitty fucking shotgun? You can kill people. Fast forward to present day, it is nearly impossible to imagine Scout without the scattergun, or at least a shotgun of some form or another. It's what makes him one of the 3 strongest classes in the game, without a doubt. But look, I'm not here to suck the scattergun's dick more than I have in the past. I want to know, why the change? And would the nail gun work in modern TF2? I could test this out in Team Fortress Classic, see how Scout is received in that game. But the thing is, TFC and TF2, although they're built off the same principles, are 2 very different games. I mean, just look at the movement alone. I'm sorry, but if I saw a Heavy moving like that in TF2, I'd shit myself. So I will do it the next best way. Team Fortress 2 Classic. Now I'm not going to go majorly in depth because TF2 Classic has been done to death on YouTube, but basically TF2 Classic, not to be confused with Team Fortress Classic, is a mod built off TF2 that is meant to replicate the pre-release version of TF2, down to the visuals, game modes, and yes, the weapons. This is what I'm going to use to bring the nail gun into modern day TF2. And yes, these games aren't exactly the same, but they're close enough to the point I feel confident I'll get a good answer using this mod. First, I'll run over how the weapon actually works. Unlike all of Scout's other primaries, the nail gun fires projectiles. It's almost like Medic's syringe gun. Each nail has a base damage of 15, and you have a clip of 25 nails. And you reload your clip all at once. When you first hear these stats, it's hard to actually imagine how they play out in the game, as it's so different to anything Scout is used to. But when you actually get out there and use this weapon, it has positives and negatives that you wouldn't have ever considered. There are so many gameplay situations that it's hard to know where to start, so why don't we take a look at the beginning of a fight. When you engage the enemy, you can start a fight with reliable damage a lot earlier than you could with the scattergun, like a lot. That's probably the biggest upside of the weapon, the extra range. The nails are a lot more accurate than a shotgun shot and can do a good bit of damage from miles away in the best scenarios. Like, the damage from the distance I'm doing here is literally impossible with the scattergun. And this extra range helps you to do something that no other Scout weapon can really do. Sentry shredding. Look, sentries act as a great counter to Scout's mobility, and I have no problem with them. But with the nail gun, it gives you a chance to actually be able to take them down without just completely getting rid of his counter. You still have to make sure you have your situational awareness and object permanence, which I know is really difficult for some Scout players. Also, this weapon is so much more forgiving than any of Scout's other primaries. With Scout's shotguns, you have about 60 or more damage on the line with each shot you take. One missed shot greatly handicaps you in a fight, and one hit shot gives you a massive advantage in a fight. It is the core principle that makes Scout MGEs so tense. With the nail gun, it's a lot more forgiving. Missing one shot loses you around 15 damage. There's nowhere near the amount the scatter gun would lose you. This can also allow you to deal damage to several enemies at once, something Scout couldn't really do before. Instead of focusing all your damage in one enemy with Scout's shotgun, you can spray across a choke point to disperse your damage across several enemies. So yeah, this focus on sustained fire rather than burst fire actually allows Scout to spam, which is something I'd never thought I'd say. It's great for pestering people on the point or getting some damage in across the front lines. The sustained fire is also really good in a weird but very common situation. Obviously, Scout works best when he's up close to his target. However, the closer you are, the harder it is to aim because your target stays on screen for less time. With the nail gun, this isn't an issue because you can just spray across your screen, which absolutely shreds through enemies. Guess you could say I nailed you.
Oh my god. That is not right.
No, fuck, wait, no, I didn't mean it like that, you know. Now, with all these positives, this seems like the perfect side grade to the scattergun that provides a new playstyle for Scout. And yes, while it does provide a new playstyle, the sustained fire is what makes it all fall apart, because you lose one of Scout's strongest and most well-known abilities. The ability to drop people. Scout has the speed to get behind people, and his shotgun gives him the opportunity to drop players without them even noticing. You completely lose this with the nail gun. Instead of satisfyingly dropping people like I was dropped as a child, you slowly chip them down, which makes them instantly aware of you. Your ability to flank is basically dulled down because you can't get those surprise attacks in on people. It's like a spy failing a backstab, the whole team is instantly alerted to you. Another situation I wouldn't have guessed this hinders you in is fighting soldiers. You tend to jump, shoot, look around to see where his rockets are going, and then reposition yourself to avoid his rockets. Rinse and repeat until the soldier's dead. With the nail gun, if you want to put out enough damage to kill him quickly, you need to be constantly staring at the soldier, which doesn't allow you to see where he's firing at. This turns a Scout versus soldier fight from like a 50-50 chance of either side winning, closer to an 80-20 chance in favour of the soldier. And it's something you don't think about when you're in the heat of the moment. Even in Scouts 1v1s, if you've both seen each other at the same time, attack at the same time, if you've both hit all your shots, the scattergun is still just going to win because each shot is higher risk, higher reward. And that sums up why this weapon just doesn't compare to the scattergun. It lowers the skill floor needed to play Scout, but it also lowers the skill ceiling, which means it's easier for newer players to be good at the game, but they can't progress to the level of someone using the scattergun or any of the shotguns. It actually feels like Scout plays more like a class like heavier pyro when you're using this weapon. Like I can't explain why, it just does. But finally, let's come back to the original question. Would the nail gun work in modern day TF2? Potentially yes. If you could balance the weapon to make it kill slightly quicker, it could work. But there's still no way I can see it competing against the scattergun for people's primary like the soda popper does. And if the devs had never changed Scout's primary to the scattergun in the first place, I don't think Scout would be nearly as popular as he is today. He probably wouldn't even be in the competitive meta. There's no point in having Scout's movement if you can't utilise it for dropping people. That aside, it's a fun weapon to use. It's not a great weapon, but it's fun to use. It's like the Sandman, its health penalty sucks ass and there is absolutely no reason for it to be on the weapon, but landing shots with the ball is incredibly satisfying. The nail gun may not live up to the skill ceiling of the scattergun, but it tries to give Scout an alternative playstyle which I have to respect. It's hard to do considering Scout is one of the most linear classes in the game, as much as I hate to admit it. And that's why Any of the weapons that give Scout an alternative playstyle that do it well often end up being my favourites. And that's why I encourage any weapon designers to attempt to give Scout an alternative playstyle. Even if it doesn't end up being strong, odds are it will still be fun. And that's all I really have to say about the nail gun. Obviously this was a shorter video, but I hope you enjoyed anyway. If you liked the video, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to at least like 8k by the end of the year. And I also want to remind you, I have a Discord server that you can join by the link in the description. Other than that, until next time, go out there and nail some bitches.